right. Sign call conversion. Everyone know what sign call conversion is, theoretically. So when the number one reason that we do so many for sale by owners, that we discount commissions, that we do stuff like that, get as many listings as we can, is because nothing's better at advertising you than a sign in the yard. You can put signs on billboards, bus benches, wherever, but it doesn't mean anything unless you have signs in yards. That's the best advertising you can have. So one of the reasons it's really good advertising is because you can turn one listing into hopefully 3 transactions. Hopefully you can sell the listing, and hopefully you can pick up 2 buyers off of it through open houses, and then what we call sign call conversion. Especially in really hot areas, I've done listings for free. I've done listings for $500. I've taken listings for almost nothing because I knew I'd get 5 calls a day for my sign being in that yard. So you can I made a business decision that time, and Steve let me do it because he was confident in my ability to convert people. And so I was able to close 4 or 5 transactions off just one listing. So call conversion.
What do you mean that you did $500?
So like I'll tell a for sale by owner, I'll list your house. You don't pay me $500 so my company doesn't lose money, which is what the transaction fee and E&O insurance is. And pay me $500, and then we'll pay the buying realtor whatever they need, but you don't pay me anything. So I just list it for 3% plus $500 because I don't want to lose money. So I'll just take the listing for free just to get a sign in the yard. Because I know it'll sell quickly. And I'll have about 45 to 60 days of a sign in a hot neighborhood from a great house with a lot of people calling.
So what neighborhood would you do that?
I did that one in Mesta Park. I would do it. I probably wouldn't do it. I did one near in a Belle Isle adjacent neighborhood, and then I did one in the Village for really cheap. So just areas with tons and tons of traffic. And if it's a great house, again, if it's going to look really cool on Zillow, and people are going to see it on Zillow and call you every single day, then it's going to be worth a good. Because used to, Zillow didn't update as pending, and people would still call you while it's under contract. I think now it does, unless you keep
it.
Well,
it only does if you do it.
Okay, good. Yeah, don't do that.
It seems like it might come off. Like they just.
I don't understand how Zillow works.
I did one for free at the corner of 16th and Robinson. So high traffic. Very high-end neighborhood, what we've made. We're still making money on that one that we did for free, just from all the referrals that have come off of it. Because
did you tell that story? That's like when
you
first started.
Yeah. So what happened was we listed it for free. Those people they bought a new house, didn't even use us, but we were doing open houses on it, and we were getting tons and tons of calls. Well, we ended up we sold it. But we on that deal, we got buyers, and there was probably 15,000 from at that point. Then those people actually came back for us to sell it, so we listed it for them at 4.5%. Then we had the buyer. We brought the buyer for it, so we closed both sides of that transaction. Then they bought the new house, which I think is still to date my biggest one-day transaction from those 3 sales. Right, had the buyer, the seller, and the one that they bought. And it keeps going. I mean, I think we've counted up like 100 and something thousand, and that's just directly how we know about that. So if it's the right listing in the right neighborhood, absolutely, because of what can come off it. But you have to work it, and you have to know what to do with all the calls that come in, which is what this is about.
Right. So everyone has the authority to lower their commission down to 4.5%. We all know that. If we go below 4.5%, get with your mentor, your junior partner, and make sure at that point it's a business decision. We start getting close to not making money on a transaction. So make sure it's going to make sense. And make sure you have the skill to make it make sense, or work with someone who does. So call conversion. Here's kind of what the idea is someone drives up to your house, they see the outside of your house, maybe they see some signs that say home for sale, they drive by, they want to call you and see how much it's listed for, how big it is, how many beds, that kind of stuff. So here's really what's happening. You've got your neighborhood streets here, you've got a sign for sale here, a sign for sale here, another house for sale over here. These neighbors are driving, they're calling, they're driving, they're calling, they're driving, they're calling. 99% of the time the realtor's not going to answer. So they're probably going to call 5 or 6 signs. But if you answer and you can give information on every one of these houses, you're going to have a high chance of converting them. But what you have to understand is quickness. Obviously, timing is important because if you don't answer, well, these other guys might. They might have already got your information from someone else. But this is the process that they're going through. What we're seeing more too, I've seen people haven't even driven it yet. I'm getting calls from Zillow, which is essentially a sign call. It's an advertisement call. They're calling and say, "I saw your house on Zillow. Can you tell me a little bit more about it?" They see pictures, but they want to know if it has this or that, if it's got this or that. So, anytime someone calls you on a listing, we're going to call it a call conversion. We're trying to convert that person from an inquiry to a client where we can sell them our house or a house. So just like open houses, one of the biggest parts of a sign call conversion is the preparation. You have to know the property. You have to know the neighborhood. You have to know everything about this home because you're going to have 30 seconds maybe to convince this person that you are the realtor they need to use from now on. So it's going to come off in your tonality, how you sound, not necessarily what you're saying. What is it? Mostly like 90% of communication is nonverbal. So it's going to be like your tone. It's not your content. It's your tone. It's how you, if you're smiling, people can hear on the other side of the phone if you're smiling or not. If you're pissed off, if you're doing multiple things at once, people can tell that kind of stuff. So you have a really short amount of time to convert this person into someone who thinks you're a competent, good realtor who knows everything about the area. Just like an open house, right? But it's harder because you're not in front of them. They have a phone. We have to talk through a phone. The good thing is you know their cell phone number right off the bat too, so that's good. I always like that. I always had a bunch of success with call conversion. About 20% of my income my first year was from this, so I always had a lot of success. I always liked it. And one of the reasons I think I did so well is because how well I prepared for it. I had the same conversation over and over again when people called about it because I knew what to say. I knew what they were going to ask. I knew how to divert the conversation. I knew how to ask for their information. So when preparing for it, when I was brand new, I didn't know anything about the city. This is what I did, and I think it still helps now. So every listing I had a folder for the listing. I recommend doing this for everyone anyway. I had my MLS printout. So if they ask me questions, I could tell it. Because even if you have one listing, it's going to be hard to remember everything about it if you're showing houses all day and you're seeing 1,000 houses a day. So have your MLS listing ready. And then I had, this is a big thing. Has anyone seen these like one-line CMA type things where you can do for the neighborhoods? This is and once a week I would update this. This is everything comparable home for sale in the market in that neighborhood. So this one is an Edmond neighborhood. So there's like 5 houses for sale in there. I went through, I previewed them all. I wrote notes on when I previewed them, so I know what every single one of them looks like inside. Just like an open house, guys. You have to know exactly what you're talking about when you're talking to someone on the phone. I even wrote notes on here, needs renovation, has pool, gated community, best one in the neighborhood, occupied, can't show. So I take notes. I know this preparation is the most important part of your sign call, just like your open house. So if possible, and you get a phone call when you're in the office, hopefully you can just say, hold on, give me a second, let me pull a file on that house, and then have that conversation. But knowing the area is the most important part. So you want to kind of know, if you can't print stuff like this off, or if you know the area pretty well and you don't need to, what I always tried to do was have a smaller home that I could recall right off the bat, have a bigger home that I could recall right off the bat, and then have one that's completely gutted and fixed up, and then have one that's a shitter. So I can have 4 houses that I can talk about right off the bat that should cover anyone. Because what they're going to say, it's too big or it's too small, or I want to fix her up or I want move-in ready. So if I have those 4 things covered, I can really send them in any direction. So if you just have 4 houses for each one of your listings that you can talk about real quick, then all you have to say is, have you seen the house on 4th Street? No, what is it? It's this. Oh, okay. Then we can send them information. We can go set up an appointment and go look at it. So the goal of the call is to capture that person as a buyer. And the goal, really, you want to set up an appointment before the call is over. Set up an appointment to go look at a house, or if nothing else, set up a follow-up, like I'm going to email you this house that we're talking about, and then we can set up a time to go see it later. So always try to end the conversation with a task, with a goal. I'll do this, or I'll do this, or we'll meet here. So always want to end the conversation with some sort of a goal, hopefully being setting the appointment. Because once you show a buyer a house, your chances of working with that buyer go up like 75%.
Let me ask you something. If you're doing, okay, so say you're in the middle of doing a listing agreement and somebody calls and wants to go see a house. Do you finish the listing agreement or do you go show the house? Wrong. We go show the house. The listing agreement can wait, right? Because that doesn't have to be done right now, right? That's not time sensitive.
But you're,
If you-
like
if
you're
you-
in the middle of a,
Yeah, who cares? That's paperwork,
you're
right?
sitting in front of a client.
Not in front of a client, no. If you're-
So if you're doing,
I was on that page.
if you're
I just
doing
wanna be
listing
clear.
paperwork, if
If
you're
you're
doing
listing paperwork, so
not in front of a client.
right. Most of the time, how many of you guys are
Excuse
sitting in
me,
front of a
yeah.
client doing a listing agreement? You usually do it for dollars, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so leave that and go show the house. But don't leave your clients, yeah. Thank you for the distinction. But yeah, no, it's because. Do you know what your chances are of getting them as a buyer if you actually go show them?
He's just
Okay. Right.
Is it 75%?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
it's 50 if you go show them one, 60 if you go show them two,
Okay.
70 if you go show them three, so on and so forth. So you've got to
Right, you
keep.
lied to me.
You have to keep. You have to keep your priorities straight, especially in a situation like that. A lot of people get really buried in the task-oriented things of real estate, but your main job is really acquiring clients. Anyway, go
I've
ahead.
gone in my workout clothes. I mean, I've been like at home and I'm like 5 minutes away, but I'm in my workout clothes behind. You're like, no, I don't care. And I went and showed them 4 houses. They didn't care, and I ended up
Buying a house
keeping
with
them.
them. Good.
And helping
Yeah.
buy a house. Yeah.
Also, as a matter of preparation, get in the habit of saving numbers on your phone. I think really now people go, I don't want to take a call. I think that's like the last thing that they want to do. But if you've got numbers saved and a number pops up that's not like you don't know it, it's probably worth, unless it's like an 888 number, right? It's probably worth answering the phone. It could be a potential client.
Mhm.
But also, if it's from California, it's probably Zillow. But-
Yeah. Morgan, California.
Yeah, don't answer that.
Hitchcock, Oklahoma is like the Oklahoman trying to sell me. Don't do it. Don't answer.
There's somebody calling from Wagoneer, Oklahoma, too. It's
Yeah.
like, internet sales.
Yeah.
They keep harassing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the preparation. Again, is going to be the most important part of this. Understanding, knowing what you're going to say once you're in the conversation. Because if you don't know anything about the house, you don't know anything about the neighborhood, and they call you, you're just going to give them some information, and they're going to hang up and go on. They don't need you. They have to feel like they need you. So once we are on the call, so that's the goal. That's the preparation for the call. We have to make sure we know everything. We want to try to set a goal in the call, or our goal is to set an appointment in the call to go meet these people. In the phone call, so the first thing you want to do is acknowledge the property they're calling about. Hi, I'm calling about your home on 19th. Okay, yeah, the home on 19th, the yellow Tudor or whatever you want to call. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, great. That once you're on the phone call, because here's what the buyers want. They want to pick up the phone. They want to say, how big is it? 1,200 square feet. How much is it? 200,000. How many beds? 3. Okay, click. That's what they want. What you need to do is slow the conversation down and take control of the conversation. You need to be the one asking questions. You need to be the one probing them, finding out what they need, what they want, so that you can provide value to them. So the first thing you want to do is slow it down by acknowledging it, just saying, yeah, I know this one. Or they'll say like the one on 14th, I think, and then you can kind of think with them like, let's see, over kind of by pin, right? Because you have so many listings, you just can't remember. So you're like, yeah, the one over
That's right.
1400 block on pin. Yeah. Hold on, let me get my, you can, okay, I'm sorry, let me back up. Kind of talking to what he was talking about. If it's a number you don't expect, make sure you're in the right state of mind to take that phone call. If you're doing 10 things at once, don't take the phone call. If you're driving and you don't have your information, don't take the phone call. If you've spent any time around me for more than 20 minutes, I ignore 90% of the phone calls I get. Because I'm either busy or I don't know the number, and I don't want to get into a 20-minute convo or a convo that I don't want to be in right now. So if you don't leave me a voicemail, I'll never call you back. So that's just a tip to everyone. So if it's important, they'll leave a voicemail. If it's not, then they're not real. They're not gonna turn into anything. So if you're not ready to take that phone call, if you're not prepared to convert this person, prepared to tell them what they want to hear and answer their questions, don't take it. Call them back. Call them back quickly, because again, they're probably circling the block. But get to a place where you can take this phone call. And then now, when you're talking about slowing down the conversation, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can say, "Hold on, let me get my file. Let me pull it out of my bag," or "I'm driving. Let me pull over to the side of the road." Even if you're sitting at your desk, I've done that before. I've just said, "Actually, I'm about 5 minutes away from my office. Can I call you right back?" And they say, "Yeah." And I hang up and I call them right back, talk to them. So slow down the conversation. There's tons of ways you can do it. When you slow down the conversation, kind of start to probe them a little bit, kind of get chit-chatty a little bit. And so what I mean there is, so they say, "I'm calling about 14th. Yeah, that house. Hold on a second. Let me pull that file up." And you kind of quiet for a second. "So you guys just out driving around looking at houses today? Or you guys trying to be in this neighborhood pretty bad?" Or, kind of probe them a little bit. "You guys looking for trying to find a 4-bed home?" Or, whatever. Say whatever you need to. Start probing them a little bit. Trying to figure out what they're doing, what their situation is. We want to learn everything we can about them so we can help them. And that's how you kind of slow down the call. Because, again, we don't want to get into that where they're just interrogating you for information and they hang up. And so a way to avoid that is to slow it down. The second way is to answer every question with a question. This is probably one of the most important things. It's the easiest way to turn an interrogation into a conversation. So, how big is it? It's 1,200 square feet. Is that big enough for you guys, or you need something bigger? Okay, well then they're going to tell us what their requirements are. "Oh, we have 4 kids, so we really need something bigger." Okay, well now I know they have kids. Now I know they need bigger. So every time they ask a question, you want to return it with a question somehow. Same with how many beds there are, baths, whatever. The easiest way to say it is just to answer and then just ask them, "Is that what you guys are looking for, or are you looking for a 4th bed?" Whatever it may be. And as you probe them and answer those questions with a question, it turns more into a conversation. Then you can kind of get off topic of the house a little bit and talk about what they need more than the house. And that's where your preparation comes in help. Because mine might be a 3-bed. Maybe they need a 4-bed. And that's when I can tell them about that bigger one that I looked at the other day. Remember, I said, no, a bigger one. So I can say there's one around the corner that's bigger. It's got a 4th bed, or it's got an office. Something you might not know if you just looked on Zillow. But if you went and previewed it, you know it's an office that could be used as a bedroom. Stuff like that.
I think the important thing to understand about people when you're talking to them, and kind of put yourself in a situation, your house shopping or work. And in my situation the other day, I was looking at commercial property in Dallas. And so what happens is when people are looking for properties and they're serious about buying a house, their wall is really thick. Okay? When
Is that you?
Yeah.
when it's like when they're kind of like, I don't really, I don't have to have a house. Maybe I'm in a situation where they've kind of got a medium wall. If they are not going to buy a house, they'll tell you anything.
Volunteer
Okay?
information.
They'll volunteer information. So the more somebody is, the more resistant they are to answering questions, the more serious they are about buying a house, and they're trying not to get sold anything. So the goal is to basically porcupine, right, where people are asking you questions, and then you answer and then ask back a question, right? Because you've got to get that until the wall comes down, and you know the wall comes down is because they want to go, okay, here's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Here's what we need. Okay. Typically, people are looking for houses that are outside their price range, right? They're looking at Edgemere Park when they can only afford Central Park. Okay, but we have to ask the questions, right, to break down that wall. What'd you say?
That's a big
Big
difference.
Huge. Just like,
Yeah, right, exactly. They're like,
I
oh,
think
how
a
much
lot
is
of them
that?
just go straight to the historic district because they want to buy a house in Edmond.
Yeah, because how many times have you gone, oh, I want to buy this house. How much is this? You're like, that's $350,000. They're like, whoa, I was just looking for $150. Right? Have you heard that before? Okay, yeah. But you're just trying to get them to open the floodgates, right, to break that wall down, so that they start volunteering and giving you that information that you're looking for. I was like, all right, here's what we're looking for. We've got 3 kids, we got 4 kids. We really need 4 bedrooms. My husband needs an office, and all of that stuff, right? We need to find that out, and then if we have the information, then we can meet that need, right? So we're trying to bust down that wall, find out what their real need is, and then meet the need. And if we can meet that need, then we get to show them a house. Then they become a client. So you've got to just keep, so for example, this one's 1,800 square feet. Is that what you guys are looking for? This one's 3 bedrooms. Did you guys need 3 or do you need a 4? This one's 2,100 square feet, so it's a little smaller than it looks. but there's another one down the street that has a second story. Are you guys needing one story or two? Right? Because all of these are basically the same floor plan, but sometimes the attic is finished out and sometimes it's not.
Does the average person know what 1,700 square feet is, 1,800 square feet is?
They'll apply it to what they're in now. They
Yeah.
know what they're living in
Okay.
now. So
Yeah.
I'm living in 1,200. He's saying 1,700, so I know that it's relative. No, the answer is no, but they know what relative. I couldn't draw 1,700 feet for you. I couldn't step it off,
Right.
but I know what I live in, and I know what you're telling me.
Because I had, like, it wasn't until the other day I even knew what I lived in. So somebody was like, this 1,800 square feet house. I was like, I don't even know what that means.
Once someone
How
gets
many
in-
bedrooms does it
Once
have?
someone gets into the mode of shopping, they begin to educate themselves on stuff like
Okay.
that. Since you're not shopping for a home and you're
Right.
just getting into real estate, it's not surprising that you don't know what that is. But whenever I'm looking for homes and square foot's everywhere, then I know what I'm in, I know what I want, that kind of thing. So the consumer most of the time can apply
Okay.
what that is.
What kind of call that you get off of Zillow that's not your listing and you jumped out of the house? I get those.
I've never done that. That probably makes it a little trickier. If you get a call from a Zillow lead,
And it's not your listing.
I would. I mean, they tell you what property it is, right?
Yeah, they tell you and you don't have it in front of you, you know nothing.
Yeah. I would probably.
So tell them you want to meet them there and then do your research on the way.
Yeah, just well, you want to know if it's even available because a lot of times they're not.
Yeah, well, it's one of those situations where you're gonna go. Let me grab the file and call you right back.
Yeah.
I'm 5 minutes from the office, and
Yeah.
I'll pull that file. I'll pull the file and get it for you, or I'll pull up the information.
That's what
Get off the phone and
I would
try
get,
to
yeah,
find
but
it
get
and
get
come
right
back.
back on it because
I'd play it up too. I'd say, hey, maybe this is also listed on the MLS, and that's more information. Let me look it up.
yeah. Well, yeah, no,
It is MLS.
it probably will be, but you gotta have MLS up.
right.
Otherwise, you're just like, hold on, oh, what's my password? So yeah, I would just say I'm driving to the office, even if you're sitting at your desk. As long as there's not people yelling in the background and stuff.
The dog's barking.
Sit down,
turn this phone down.
No, so I would, somehow defer and get off and say, let me call you right back, or I'm finishing this up, or whatever, and then write the property down and then call them right back with the information.
Where
But I've
do
never
you-
done that.
So in that situation where they call for Northwest 14th and that's not your listing, and
That's
you're-
very rarely gonna happen.
okay.
Unless
you're buying like
advertising
you're
a
a
lot.
Zillow advertising, which we do not recommend.
And even then, you're not going to get a whole bunch of leads.
Right. So that's just
Thanks.
it's not gonna happen to you very much.
But if it does, I mean, it's not going to happen much. But I would just hop up, get the address from them, hop off the phone, and say, let me call you back real shortly when I get to my desk. And then research it on the MLS, Zillow, wherever it may be. But I don't think you'll.
I've had people call me because they're driving around the neighborhood.
Oh, they forget which house yours.
No, the other agent wouldn't answer the phone.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey,
Oh, yeah.
do you know anything about this house? I'm like, well, yes, I do.
Exactly.
And, and then you can tell them.
Yeah.
And have you? I mean, and the goal is right after you've done that. It's like, would you guys like to go see it?
Yeah, you just say you want to see it.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go set up an
Or,
appointment.
Or-
another one
and
might
that's-
be better.
And if my house is available, if it's not under contract yet, 99% of the time I get them out to look at that house. Even if they say it's too small, too big, whatever, they don't. They called because they had interest in it, whether it be interest in the location, they like the curb appeal, whatever. They called it because they had interest. I want to get them out immediately to look at it. And I'll even cut the conversation short a little bit so they can't ask more questions to rule it out because I want to go meet them. That's the thing. You got to get face to face with someone. So if I tell them the price and the bed and the bath and it sounds great, I'll just say, well, what are you doing tomorrow or this afternoon? I'm free. I'll be out there anyway. Do you want to meet? Or, I'll try to get them because when you're there, you have a much higher percentage of converting. So if mine's available, even if it doesn't probably match what they want, I'll take them out there. I'll say, this is a pretty standard house in the neighborhood. Let's go look at it and see what you think about it.
Are most of your is most of the volume of your sign calls occurring on like Saturday, or is it just kind of
Say
evenly
sporadic.
distributed
Yeah.
throughout the week?
Pretty
Yeah, it's
sporadic.
pretty sporadic.
Okay.
Yeah. You mentioned something the other day. This is a perfect example of this. And how I used to think is when you said when I'm driving by FISBOs, I think, oh, that's a potential $1,000 right there, right? Call conversion is a potential like $3,000 to $10,000.
Mhm.
You have no. I mean, they could need to buy a house and they need to sell one too, so that they can buy that house.
Right.
And you have to look at the opportunity, and that's one of the things you have to do with real estate is you've got to grab the opportunity, work it until it's dead, right? And then move on if it doesn't work out. But you know, if that's like that call is worth $3,000 to $10,000, you have to think about it that way because it's going to make you pick up the phone and get in the right frame of mind to capture that client.
So kind of back to the phone call when we're having these. Again, we want to answer questions with questions. Turn this into a conversation. Our goal, slow it down. Our goal as a realtor, period, call conversions, open houses, buyers, sellers, whatever, is to provide value to our clients. We can't do that unless we know what they need. And if we're trying to sell them on something, you need to be asking questions. They need to be doing most of the talking all the time. In any situation in real estate, always be asking questions to know what they need, what they want, what they're afraid of, whatever. Helps you set expectations, helps you do everything. So if you're not providing value, they're not going to use you. So provide the value of asking questions and delivering what they need. So we're going to ask questions again, like he said. Once you start getting into what they need and dropping their guard a little bit, if they're real buyers, they'll start kind of telling you what they want, and they'll even start asking you questions. If you've worked it properly, you've done everything properly, you're prepared, you know about the neighborhood, they're going to start asking you questions. What do you think about the one on something street? It's a renovation. Do you think it was cheap? And we can talk about renovations now. And then we can talk about the house over here. And when they start asking your opinion on stuff, that's when you've really got them. You've got them hooked, and you need to go meet them because they're starting to trust what you have to say. They think you know what you're talking about right off the bat. And so once they start dropping their guard and start asking you questions, then you can really get out and meet them, show them something. And then you want to always end the call with an action item. Again, try to 99% of the time we want to go meet somewhere. Hopefully one of those 4 houses. So I told you I usually have 4 houses that I would always tell people about. And there was about a 2 or 3 week span where I got a lot of phone calls in the village, and I went and viewed one house like 9 times in 2 weeks. The realtor finally called me back and was like, "What's going on? Are your buyers going to buy this house or not?" And it was different buyers every time I came through because I just told them about the house and they liked it. And they wanted to go look at it. So just having those 4 houses, I got people off the phone and in person very quickly, very easily. So preparation's, again, most important. We want to end the phone call with an action item. Let's meet here. That house is available. It's vacant. We can go today. We can go tomorrow, whatever. Let's go meet somewhere. And if they don't like any of the 4 you have, my little ace in the hole kind of is, there might be another one coming on the market down the street that I know about. Let me get your email. I'm going to send you some information on it. I don't know much about it right now, but let me get your email. I'll send you some information. Everyone loves off-market stuff, right? And there's one in that neighborhood coming on soon, somewhere. So you get at some point in the next week there will be a house on the market. So you get their info, and you search for them a little more. When you're off the phone, you can be a little more specific. If there's something cool on there or something that just came on the market, or keep their email in the next day or two, look on the market when there's something new. At that point you have their information. They trust you enough to get their information. It's always been real easy to get emails over the phone because you already have their cell phone number because they called you from it. And then you can just grab their email and say, "Let me just send this over to you. You guys can take a look at the photos and everything." You got their email. And if you do it properly, they're gonna want to do something. They're gonna want to meet you. They're gonna want you to send them something. So that'll be a real easy conversion. But that's kind of my last case scenario. I'll always throw that out there. It usually hooks them. Don't start with that, but end with it if you got nothing else.
Does anybody have any scenario or could you remember a time when you did do a call conversion and how that worked? Where somebody called you off the sign and then you called to the client?
I mean, just that one that I said earlier, they just called and they didn't know how much the house cost or whatever, and it was, I ran over there and showed it to them. It was way too much. It was in Surrey and I knew all the other ones. So I said, "Hey, I know of a few more. Do you want to go look?" And they were like, "Well, we're already out." He'd already taken the day off. So we went and looked at 3 more that day. They didn't like any of them. And then we ended up buying something south of Yukon, North Mustang. It wasn't even in Surrey.
Yeah.
But I picked them up just because.
But why did they use you?
I think because I ran over there. Because they were like, "Wow, we don't, like you said, 90% of the realtors don't even return
Don't
a call,
answer and don't call
or
back,
return
yeah.
a call."
Right.
And I think just because they felt like, and their mother-in-law that was with them, or the mother-in-law, was a past realtor, and she's like, "You need to use her. She knows the area boss." So she was kind of impressed with, my knowledge and stuff, being in the business in the past. And then I mean, within the month, we had a house for them.
Right. If they're calling off signs, I mean, they are prime opportunity because they're going. I don't know
They're
who to
actively
use as a
shopping.
they're actively shopping and they don't know who to use as a realtor.
Yeah, most of the time they don't have a realtor.
They don't have one and they haven't asked for referrals and so they just
Don't
need help.
ask if you're working with a realtor.
Never.
Don't
That's-
ask what?
If you're working with a realtor, ever. Don't ask anyone ever.
Just assume
Ever.
they aren't.
Because they're always going to say yes. If they're not, then you don't want to work with them because they're probably. So don't just assume the role of the realtor. Just become their realtor. They'll stop you at some point and tell you that I have a realtor. Now you might do some work that you're not going to get paid on, but never ask that question.
I
Always
remember when
just
I first
assume.
started, you guys said, even Brandon told me, just like when you get their name or their email, always, send them stuff and just until they, I've never really had anybody say, stop sending me something,
No.
but until they do, just keep doing it, and then, you just never know, if they did find someone else, sometimes they'll say, hey, I have had some people say, I found a house, thank you, I guess. So
Yeah.
that's a stop, but, not like in a rude way, no one's ever said, please quit sending me stuff,
Yeah.
because I always just kind of customize the email that I send,
Right,
that
which is a
says,
good way.
hey, I like this one, I thought about you because of this reason or whatever, but,
Yeah.
just never give up, because you don't know, and then if slow down, maybe go back to them in a month or whatever, but.
Yeah, and I was actually I was gonna talk about that,
Okay,
but
sorry.
one thing I always wanted to. It's real easy to default and just say. It's real easy to say, "Let me get your email. I'll send you some stuff."
Yeah.
That's what everyone says. That's what every realtor says when they're on the phone, when they're in an open house. Let me get your email. I'll send you stuff. All 3,300 realtors can do that, and it's garbage. And a lot of them do. A lot of buyers that come in are probably set up on 3 or 4 different drip campaigns from different realtors that just send them garbage, everything that pops up in that neighborhood, and they probably don't even look at it anymore. It just shows up in their email and they delete it. So you don't want to send them an email. You don't want to send them something unless we've already talked about it. I know of stuff in the neighborhood. I know what you're looking for. So I'm not just going to blast you with stuff. I'm going to send you stuff that's going to work for you. So sometimes people aren't going to give you their email, and you don't want to just be like, hey, give me your email. I'll send you stuff. Put you on a drip campaign because everyone does that, and there's no value to it. They can do that on Zillow or Realtor.com. What they're paying you for is because you're knowledgeable about the area. This house is better than that house. This house matches what they need more than this house. So that's what they're paying you for. They're not paying you to just send them stuff.
Right. They're bombarded with information. What they're
Yeah.
looking for is wisdom.
Right.
Right. And that's what you're there
Right.
to provide.
So
Great way to put it.
if you've been sending people listings that match the criteria that they're looking for, because we're going on MLS and we're finding specific houses that they're looking for, and you're not getting a response, either this looks great or stop emailing me.
Mhm.
When do you go, hey, am I going to spam? Are you actually
Never.
reading?
That's a great question. So the question for the people in Texas, when do you stop communicating with people?
Following
They're not
up.
responding to you. Never.
Until they tell you to shut up, or I already bought something.
Right, because I can't tell you how many times somebody goes, hey, thanks for, you haven't seen your emails, I didn't have a chance to get back to you. It doesn't fall into people's priority list. What you have to determine is whether that buyer or seller is a want to, a need to, or a have to, right? If they're not a have to, they're probably not going to respond,
Mhm.
right? Or they're probably not going to be actively looking. But that doesn't mean that couldn't change any day. So your job is basically, right, we have those folders that have their names and phone numbers, and you're flipping through those folders. If you got to follow up with them once a month, once a week, whatever that case may be, you're looking at them, right, and you're keeping them, at the top of your head, just in case something comes on the market, you send it to them, because a need to can turn into a have to with the right house. So if you send them the right house and stay on top of it, that could totally turn over. So you never stop following up.
And what I try to explain to people is, you're doing real estate as a job. You're looking at it all day, every day. These people have other jobs. They've got family members in the hospital. They've got kids in sports. This is a small part of their life, and it's a huge part of your life. So if they don't respond to you the next day, you're thinking, oh my God, they hate me. They just got 1,000 things going on, and they're not ready to look at it yet.
Yeah.
Or what you sent them isn't what they want, and they don't feel the need to say, that's not it, keep looking. Because that's what they're going to say, right? Otherwise, they're just going to say no. They're not going to respond. So keep sending, and I did this to just recently when I was training an open house. I got their email, and I sent them 2 or 3 emails because two really nice properties popped on that week. And then the next week I sent them another one, and then they emailed me back and said, I want to see that house. That's it. They said, when can we go see this house? So I sent them 2 emails. I said nothing. Sent them a third, and they said, I want to go see this house.
So don't get your feelings hurt.
No.
And what a great way to keep your communication up with somebody who's maybe is, hey, I know this one is above your price range, but it reminded me of you. It looks like you guys.
Mhm.
Right? And then, even if it's a $500,000 or $1 million house, it doesn't matter, right? Because because what do they think? They go, oh,
He's
they know what
thinking of me.
they're thinking about me. They know what I want. Right? Maybe they know my style, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Or, oh yeah, that is cool. You know.
Yeah.
Or-
They just
I'd like to go look at that anyway. I'm not going to buy it.
Right. Great way to stay in touch with past clients is, hey, this came up in your neighborhood. Just thought you would want to know for neighborhood value. It's great, $120 a square foot. We bought
Yeah.
it for 110.
That's a good way to,
So
you need to do that.
yeah,
About
I mean,
on an MLS thing, when you send them from there, you can see if they
Reddit.
and read it.
I
If they haven't read it at all.
Yeah.
I've got one that I did very first.
That just means they haven't clicked on it. They've read it. So they have to actually click that link and go to your portal. That's when it. So if they get your email and it shows the list of new houses, they might not like any of them, so they just delete it or they don't answer. But
Okay.
they see when they like, they'll click your portal, and then it will say last viewed this day. They have to actually click on that portal.
one of the things that I used to do, which is a great communication opportunity, I used to look at all the new listings that came up every day. Because you're probably how many listings come up? 20, 25 listings a day? 100? What?
Yeah, probably 60, 70. Yeah.
60 to 70, right?
In the
is
metro
not-
area.
Yeah, right. So that's not a lot. And you can flip through those pretty quick. I mean, honestly, probably take you 10 minutes. But if you forward those, right, to people who it's like in their neighborhood, right, that are friends of yours, in the neighborhood that are past clients of yours, right, that's a good way to stay in touch with those people.
Good idea.
People who is above their price range, right, but it's the style that they like. That's a great way to stay in touch with those. So that's those 60 to 70 that come on every day, and you can set up a search to where they send to your inbox every day. Comb through them and send them to people.
And when you log into the MLS, there's a button that says
Yeah.
new listings.
Yeah.
And it just pulls it, and you can go to a map, and you can go right to the area you want. There's like 70 total, but there's probably like 20 something in the Northwest Oklahoma City area. So if that's where you're working, or 20 in the Yukon area, or wherever it may be, it's pretty localized. But overall, the entire metro, there's closer to. Yeah, Bill just came and got it done.
It's his building.
Yeah, I'd charge him for it.
Yeah.
So there's what I do is I try not to set my clients up on a direct email where the email goes to them immediately unless they ask for it. Some people want to see everything that comes in the market, and I ask them that. Otherwise, or if they're really far out, if they say, yeah, we like it, we're actually this far out, and I'll send them certain stuff. But I try to get auto emails sent to me. So if you go through my email, you'll see dozens of auto emails that come to me. I'll look at it and see if it matches what they want. If it does, I'll forward it along.
You can also do the concierge mode.
Where you're CC'd on it?
Yeah, well, it pops up what is available, and you can click what would suit your client.
Okay.
And it just goes to them.
Oh, okay.
That's what I do.
I haven't done that.
Because then it doesn't come to my email. It's just,
Oh, you go on every day and look at it?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
It's not the most efficient way to do it, probably, but something I do every day in the morning and at night is I look at everything that's new, everything that's back on the market, and everything that's been price decreased. Because even if you keep up with your folders really well, if you go through all 3 of those every day, something will trigger in your mind to be like, oh, I haven't gotten in touch with so-and-so. They were looking for a house in Quail Creek or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's a really good reminder, like memory jogger.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I think to backtrack, the best way a good way that I've found to get in front of people that first time, which is like the most critical thing, is if you have that 3-bedroom house and it's clear on the phone that that's not going to be the house for them, but you have a 4-bedroom in mind, you can just be like, look, there's a 4-bedroom in the neighborhood that I've got to go preview for another client. Is there a time today that's good for you to see it? And that will like get them excited, like maybe this is a house that's great or whatever. And then you put the ball in their court, and it's not so much about like it's less intimidating and much less about like making an appointment. Just like, well, he's already going to be out there. I mean, you might as well
It's
make
good.
the time to meet him there. You know,
That's a really good. Yeah.
yeah, you could just make it like, well, hell, the
It's
guy's
very,
gonna
it's
be
very
there.
disarming. Yeah, it's just a just gonna look.
Yeah, I was gonna go out there anyway, so I might as well do it now.
It's good. I like that.
Do you guys
Yeah, it was really good.
try and preview every house for sale, regardless if another real estate agent has their name?
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to get work in an area, or if your listings in that area, yeah. For when I first started, I wanted to be the king of the village. I wanted every single house in the village to be my listing. And so every time something new came on, I went and looked at it that day. I had 2 or 3 listings in there, and I got a bunch of buyers in there. But I ended up getting out of there. But a lot of first-time home buyers in there. But there's tons of traffic, tons of turnover, so it's good. It's a great neighborhood.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're wanting to specialize in an area, or if you have a listing in an area, absolutely. Anything that's new coming on, go look at it. Because that knowledge, having eyes on it, that knowledge is going to give you a huge leg up from just looking at it on the MLS.
I always thought that this was interesting. Like if I worked at like the mall or something, and let's say I worked at Banana Republic, and people came into Banana Republic, and I say, if you say, "Can I help you?" What do you always say?
No,
just
no.
looking for
Just
something.
shop.
around.
Okay, great. So if I started the conversations like, "Hey, how's it going? What can I help you with?"
What are you
They'd
looking
say,
for?
What are you looking for? They say, "Well, nothing." I said, "Okay, great. We got a 20% sale on this. Is that kind of? Are you looking for church pants? Whatever." And finally, at some point, they're going to break down. It's like, "I'm looking for blue trousers," right? And I go, we don't have any that are on sale right now, but Macy's has got a great sale on blue trousers. You ought to go check it out, right? Then you're providing value, right? Before long, it would get out and you'd have a line out the door of Banana Republic. People come to ask you questions about who's got the best deals on what, right?
Yeah.
So we saw, what movie was that? Was it Santa Claus?
Miracle on 34.
Miracle on 34th Street, right? Where they were lining up because they would tell them where to get the best deal on certain toys, right? So here's the deal: with houses that are on the market, you can sell any house on the market. So it behooves you to become knowledgeable, especially about houses that are in your neighborhood, but ultimately, eventually, about all houses that are on the market. You become a source of knowledge for people. I always thought it was interesting. Philip Churchill of Churchill Brown still knows all the listings that come on the market every day. Now that's not what I want to do, right? I'd rather train and help realtors be successful. But as far as like being a realtor and an active realtor, you need to know what's on the market, especially in your neighborhood to begin with. But eventually, you need to know. Really, you can have a working knowledge of all areas of the city.
Yeah. Especially because eventually, at some point, you're going to have a buyer looking in the Quail Creek area, then a buyer looking in the Northwest Oklahoma City area, then a buyer in the historic area, then a buyer in the village. So you're going to need to know almost every house that pops up in the Oklahoma City area.
Do you ever branch out outside, so like Yukon, Mustang, Piedmont?
Yeah, if that's where you're working.
Well, I mean, like if you're not specifically working that area, do you ever branch out and start looking at? You're not happy where you work.
Yes.
I mean, if you don't have a buyer there, then you can do it just to learn it.
Yeah.
But typically, you learn an area when you're working with a buyer or when you have a listing in that area. That's when you learn it.
I think Steve said there's something like I don't know how many listings in Yukon right now.
Oh, Joe said it. Like half of them are
Joe.
300,000 plus listings. Yeah.
Here's
It's-
why.
and a
Here's
lot of
why
that's
you
new
would.
construction.
Here's why you would. Let's say a friend goes, "Hey, we were thinking about buying a house in Yukon the next year or two, right?" And you go, "Yeah, it's pretty. It's kind of a buyer's market right now. New construction's going for 120 to 130 a square foot. Some of those premium neighborhoods that are a little older that were built in the 90s, those are 95 to 105 a square foot. Yeah, you get a pretty good deal over there right now, right? So you learning different areas, different neighborhoods, whatever, only gives you more value in the marketplace. The more information you have on those different areas, because people, just generally speaking, if people know you're in real estate, what are they gonna say? How's the market? How's real estate going? What's going on in the marketplace? And if you have the right answers, if they're in the conversation, in that conversation, then they see you as an expert.
Did you guys ever go to the different areas, the different neighborhoods, and just look at what the price per square foot, high and low is in the area?
Yeah, it's for agent preview. Yeah, absolutely.
And you can do that kind of stuff on MLS. Takes a little time. But yeah, again, after a year in the industry and you worked with 10, 15 buyers, you'll just know all that. I can tell you the square foot averages in most neighborhoods in Oklahoma City. Just because at some point I've had a buyer in that neighborhood. And I've tried to retain that information for the exact reason. So yeah, you can learn a bunch by doing agent preview. And when I was new and I was working with like 1 or 2 buyers and 1 or 2 listings, I've got a ton of time throughout the day. That's what I would do. I would drive neighborhoods, look at new stuff, call FSBOs, do agent previews. I would do stuff like that because I had the time. And that's how I learned. Everything that Brandon knows, everything I know, everything Steve knows, he didn't learn it on day one. It's 5, 10, 20 years of doing it, and he retains it all. So that's how you get to that point, is by doing stuff like that every day, especially when you're new and you have the time. Can't remember what you said, and I told you I was going to cover it later. Did I? Can't remember what it was. Was it about follow-ups?
Maybe.
I don't remember what it was. Because I had follow-ups written down here.
It might have been like that at the beginning.
Do I?
When you answer the phone and, just setting yourself up to call them back, to get yourself ready and call them back.
Yeah. One of the biggest things I taught when Amy was her second day at Kevo, she got a listing. She called the FSBO and went out there, and she was like, I'm ready to list. Amy, that's happened 3 times to Amy. Unbelievable. And she's like, I hate calling FSBO. It's like 30% of the time, you hate freaking listing. Why do you hate it?
Fantastic.
So she went out there and she got this listing on Yukon. It was like land and had a shop on it, which is like gold in Yukon, I guess. And so I was like, okay, let's do a crash course on sign call conversion. We talked for like 20 minutes. The biggest thing she took from that was don't answer your phone. And she's
First thing I do is I write down their name and connect it with the phone number so that when they call me again, it pops up and I know who it is.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, always. Yeah, like you said, save numbers. But yeah, because when you're new, like you said, every time someone calls me, I think it's business. But if you're not ready to take that phone call, or you're not able to, you're not somewhere if you're rushed or it's loud, it's not going to go well. You might as well not take it at all. So the biggest thing I told her was, if you're not ready to take that phone call, don't take it. And when you take it, slow it down. Reverse the conversation onto them. So, and then she started picking up buyers. She picked up 4 or 5 buyers from that property. They all wanted acreage with the shop, and there's not any, so it's kind of sucked. But real quickly, just in a 5-minute conversation, she was able to start getting buyers on it. So if you guys have examples of sign calls, get with your mentor, talk with them, because each situation is a little different. But for the most part, your preparation of it and slowing down the conversation and probing them, asking questions as much as you can, find out what they need, and then providing value. Those are the only way to do it. If you're not providing value, they're not going to use you. They're going to use someone else.
Also, if they call and if you any way to go, don't give them as little information as possible. Just ask them right then, you want to go see that house?
Yeah, if it's
just
available.
go there.
If
And
it's
then you face to
available.
face with them, then they can see your sparkling personality, and then you can share all that other value that you have about the neighborhood. But if you can cut through all that and just get over to the house and meet them, that's what you want to do.
Right. If it's available, take them out there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even if you don't think it's going to be right for them, or even if it's an awful listing, take them out there and meet them. When you get there, have some other stuff ready to talk about, like the 4 houses I told you about, or something like that. And I've even gone out and scheduled 2 listings after we were supposed to meet, in case they wanted to go look at them. And then we went and looked at them. I said, well, these other 2 were here, and we went and looked at them. They were vacant. And you can look on MLS and see if something's vacant. It's always good to take advantage of the vacant ones, because it's more FaceTime, and you can just walk through it and rip it, whatever you want to do, make fun of it. So,
Which is a really good point for your listings when you do list a house. People don't. This society, everything is instant, right? So people don't call to set up an appointment tomorrow, right? They're like, oh, let's go look at it today. Let's go look at it now.
Yeah.
So always have your listings be like, listen, you're not going to have a heads up. When you leave for work every day, your house needs to be show ready. Because there's a potential that somebody's going to call at 10 and want to see it at 11.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to call at noon and want to see it at 1:30. I mean, it just... So your listings always need to be ready for those kind of short heads up showings.
Yeah, that happened to me actually as a client. There was a house in Tall Oaks, and we called him. We wanted to see it right then. Realtor Bob or whatever. He told us that he had family over, and then we just never even wanted to see it then after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
he said
yeah.
he said he was gonna text me some pictures. He never did. You know.
Yeah.
Realtor Bob.
Realtor Bob. Classic Bob. Yeah. Yeah. People they want to see stuff now, and they're not going to buy that house. It's just like an open house. They're not going to buy it probably, but you want to get out, meet them face to face, and show them something else to buy. I think that's all I have.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
Any questions? Anything else? Any examples? Nothing. Andrew,
I
know
mean,
you got
I have a
something.
sign call and I have both sides of the deal now, which is nice.
Sometimes they do buy it.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I
they
see
do.
it more often than not. They're like, well, we'd like to put an offer.
Oh wow. This is your
My
this is
duplex.
your duplex, yeah.
And I sold one in Mesta, and somebody from Zillow showed them the house. And then they just called me, and the girl just started
When
talking. She's
they
like, hey, we looked
realized-
at the property the other day, and we'd like to make an offer. I was like, hold on. Who is this, and what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I just had to, she was,
Yeah.
you know, and it was nice to have both sides of the deal.
That's
It's happened
why.
it's happened more times than not.
Yeah. That's another reason Zillow leads don't show them a house and they just call the listing agent because they think they're calling the listing agent when they call you.
Yeah, they thought they were calling the listing agent, and then they got there, and the guy didn't know anything about the house. Didn't know
Exactly.
anything about historical homes.
That's
Knew
what
nothing, and he was just like,
Yeah.
oh, here's the house.
I had a realtor the other day request a showing of my house, and I called them and asked if they're looking to renovate it or live in it, and they're like, "Well, I don't know." I was like, "You got this off of freaking Zillow lead." I'm taking my lead, so yeah. And I actually had
That's when you show up.
what's
And
up?
the-
I'm the listing agent.
The listing agent, and then
This boob doesn't know what he's
yeah, you let him know that you're the one in charge, and you know